Zimbabwe, a country with the highest currency value. Zimbabwe is a landlocked country located in the southern part of the African continent. It shares borders with Botswana, Mozambique, South Africa, Zambia, and Namibia. The capital is Harare, which is also the largest city in the country. Zimbabwe was formerly colonized by the British, making English the official language. However, English is not the only official language in Zimbabwe. The country boasts a total of 16 official languages, earning it a Guinness World Record for the highest number of official languages in the world. Samora Machel once referred to Zimbabwe as the "jewel of Africa" due to its prosperity in the early years. The decline of Zimbabwe's economy began with the radical land distribution policy implemented by its president, Robert Mugabe, in the late 1990s and early 2000s. This policy led to a chronic shortage of essential goods, marking the onset of an economic crisis characterized by soaring levels of poverty and unemployment. Before the economic crisis, Zimbabwe was a food source for other African countries in the region. Factors contributing to Zimbabwe's economic crisis include an inability to settle debts, a continuously depreciating currency, and high levels of corruption. In 2005, Zimbabwe was recognized as the country experiencing the worst economic decline. Additionally, high inflation rates plunged Zimbabwe into an economic abyss. Meanwhile, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe continued printing money to fund budget deficits, resulting in skyrocketing prices, doubling within 24 hours. Zimbabwe is also known for having multiple currencies since 2008 when hyperinflation hit. To combat inflation, Zimbabwe abandoned its own currency, the Zimbabwean dollar, and started using foreign currencies such as the US dollar, South African rand, euro, and Botswana pula. Theoretically, individuals could buy goods priced in US dollars but pay with South African rand and receive change in euros. By 2015, the Japanese yen, Australian dollar, Indian rupee, and Chinese renminbi also became accepted forms of payment in Zimbabwe. However, in 2018, the Zimbabwean government reintroduced the Zimbabwean dollar as the local currency. The high inflation rate led Zimbabwe into an economic experience that the world will never forget. The worthlessness of the Zimbabwean dollar resulted from the continuous printing of money by the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe to cover budget deficits. As a consequence, 35 quadrillion Zimbabwean dollars equated to only $1 US. With nearly worthless currency, 100 billion Zimbabwean dollars could only buy 3 eggs. The Zimbabwean Central Bank even printed a $100 trillion banknote in 2009. However, this amount wasn't sufficient to cover public transportation costs for a week, and amusingly, due to its extremely low exchange rate, many Zimbabweans turned such banknotes into souvenirs sold to tourists. The economic crisis had a profound impact on Zimbabwe's economic development, experiencing setbacks due to an unstable exchange rate. Low investment levels also hindered economic growth in Zimbabwe. Unstable exchange rates and prices reduced investment levels in the country. According to the World Bank, Zimbabwe's debt-to-GDP ratio was estimated to reach 76% in 2022. This condition limits Zimbabwe's access to soft financing to boost productive investments. Zimbabwe also heavily relies on the agricultural sector for its highest export rates. However, the agricultural industry is currently facing low productivity. Another issue arising from this economic crisis is domestic unrest between the government and the population. The worsening economic crisis has led to protests from the public against the government. Citizens criticize the government's handling of the economic crisis, accusing it of implementing political repression. Public figures condemn the government's actions in suppressing public protests. The government arrests activists participating in protests, creating new issues rather than resolving the economic crisis. Various forms of protests continue to emerge from the population to voice the suffering they are experiencing.